पूछो जाके उनसे जिन पे रोशनी नहीं, पूछो जाके उनसे कैसी लगती है कमी।
Welcome all the participants and everyone to the Opto Hub. In today's session, we guys will get to know about myopia control by Rupam Sinha sir, who is a M Optum, presently working as professional services manager at Cooper Vision India. He is well versed in refraction, dispensing, contact lenses, low vision, and braille. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation. Welcome to the Opto Hub. We are keen to hear you. Over to
Right.
you now. Please continue.
Thank you, Nigat. Thanks a lot. And thank you, OptoHub, for this opportunity to be able to come and speak to you guys as well. And I can see a few of the names I already know in the participant list as well. So, hi guys, who knows me and who does not know me. Thank you, Nigat, for that kind introduction as well. So, as Nigat says, I take care of professional services for Cooper Vision, and this is just a Cooper Vision overview, the first slide. So, we're one of the largest contact lenses manufacturer in the world. And we are, supplying lenses to the world since 1980. Cannot halt the progression of myopia. Can we at least slow down the progression of myopia? So these four things consist of entirely myopia control. And if we are able to stop the progression of myopia even by 50%, we will be able to stop high myopic frequency in the world by almost 90%. High myopia means more than -5 diopters. So let us take that a kid, the power of the kid is increasing at almost, let us take as -2 diopters every 2 years. If we are able to just make it half, the chances of high myopic frequency in the world, that is kids with more than -5 diopters, will be almost 90% less. And that is why it's a global phenomenon. It is, it is optometry domain. And since we are optometrists, we are global citizens. It is our responsibility to stop the progression of myopia. Now, this is the reason why you need to do a myopia control, which consists of 4 parts again, just for a revision. The first part is avoid getting myopic into the eye. If we cannot do that, can we delay the onset of myopia? Because if we delay the onset of myopia, the amount of myopic progression will be lesser. If we cannot do that, can we halt the progression of myopia once it has came? If we cannot do that, can we slow down the progression of myopia? So all of these 4 things constitute of myopia control. Now, obviously, the question that normally comes into our mind is, can we do a myopia control? And what are the options in which we can do a myopia control? And if you're a student, can you do a myopia control? Can your first year, junior do a myopia control? So let us look into it. And obviously, every optometrist, even if they are a first year student, can do myopia control. And that is the best part of it, which you normally don't talk about. So today I'll talk about, how you do a myopia control, what are the options that are available in the world, and what are the options that are available in India as well. So if you want to start doing a myopia control from tomorrow, what are the options you actually have in India? So we'll also discuss about those things as well throughout the presentation. So obviously, if you see the optical management, so before putting any contact lenses or putting any glasses or even putting a pharmaceutical agent like atropine into the eye comes at the third. The first 2 part is a consultative approach. So as long as you're an optometrist, you can consult a patient and you can actively help in controlling the progression of myopia by patient awareness and by patient's consultation. So if you see the first part of it, it says assessing the risk of myopia. This means you have to see whether the parents are myopic or not, because if one of the parent is myopic, the kid is 3 times more prone to develop myopia. If both the parents are myopic, the kid is 6 to 7 times prone to develop myopia compared to if both the parents were emmetropic in nature. So whenever you see a couple about to get married and one or both of them are myopic, your myopia control starts from there. You have to congratulate them that, okay, congratulations guys, you're about to get married. But as soon as you plan a kid and you are going to have a kid, you have to get the kid's eye tested every 6 months. And if the develops a minus number at the later stages, but if we follow everything and still the kid develops a minus number at the later stages, we need to put your kid into a myopia control. So your assessment starts from there. The moment you see any myopic parent in your clinic, it is your responsibility to ask about the spouse. That does your husband or wife has a minus number as well? How frequently do you get your kid's eye tested if you have a kid? And does your kid also has a minus number as well? And if the kid is in a minus number, have you ever got consulted about myopia control? So your consultative approach starts from there. So one is this, and the second part is the refractive error. Now, we keep on doing routine refraction into our clinic. So whenever you find a 6-year-old kid with a lesser than plus 0.75 diopters, you should be worried, because that kid might become myopic at the later stages. If you find a 0.5 diopter into a 8 or 9-year-old kid, you should be worried, because the kid might become myopic at the later stages. Even literature says plano at 11 is also something you should worry about. So these are the signs which you have to look for. So plus 0.75 at the age of 6 years, 7 to 8 years plus 0.5 or lesser than plus 0.5, 0.25 at 9 to 10 years, and plano at 11. These are the factors which you have to see, you have to evaluate. And if you find a kid with lesser than these numbers, the kid might become myopic in nature. So immediately we have to put that kid into a behavioral management. We'll not do a myopia control till myopia comes, but we'll put the kid into the second slab, which is over here, which is called as behavioral management. So first is the risk management, talking to your patient who are myopic, talking to the patients who are about to get married, talking to a parent who is myopic about the spouse and the kid, and also evaluate the refractive error in the kid's eyes. Now, behavioral management is for everyone. Even if the parents are not myopic, still you need to talk to the parents about the behavioral management. And if you follow American Academy of Pediatrics very closely, you will see they have a fantastic website. You can just go and refer to that website after this session. So what behavioral management means is you have to control the screen time of the kid, and you have to also control the amount of time the kid spends outdoor in the sun. So both needs to be controlled equally. So if you consider the screen time, as per American Academy of Pediatrics, if the kid is 0 to 2 years old, there should be 0 screen time. That means no laptop, no iPads, no tablets, no mobile phones at all. If the kid is between 2 to 5 years, then we are looking for a 1 hour of screen time only in a day. And if the kid is more than 5 years, we're looking for 3 to 4 hours of screen time, but not more than 1 hour at a stretch. So this is very, very important, particularly in today's generation. So even if the kid is using a digital device, a black background is much better. The dark mode that we normally get into our mobile, that is better. And the 20-20-20 rule is very, very important whenever the kid is using a digital device, even for studying, even if the kid is more than 5 years old. So 0 to 2 years, 0 screen time, 2 to 5 years, 1 hour of screen time. More than 5 years, it has to be 2 or 3 hours of screen time in a day, but not more than 1 hour at a stretch. So do keep that in mind. And the second thing is obviously the time that the kid needs to spend outdoors. And as per all the literatures that are there in the world, the recommended time for the child to spend outdoors when the sun is there is 14 hours per week or 2 hours per day. Now, how does spending time in the sun controls myopia? Well, there are 4 parts of it. The first part is obviously, the vitamin D. And there has been studies done by Otto, Don Mutti. You can find all of their studies in Google as well if you type them. So they have found out that obviously a kid who is myopic is 20% less vitamin D deficient compared to an E-metro. So the best source of vitamin D is the sun. So if the child is spending time outdoors in the sun, they might avoid getting myopic in nature. The second part is the lux and luminance. Obviously, when you see things, you need lux and luminance, the light. So the lux and luminance in any given day is 500 times more outdoors compared to the indoor lighting. And that is why places like Japan are trying to put, the sunlight inside the classroom. They're trying to make channels and they're trying to make tubes to bring sunlight inside the classroom so that they can give that lux and luminance to the kid. The third reason is retinal dopamine secretion. Now you all know dopamine is a happy hormone. So if there is a retinal dopamine secretion, the eyes are not at stress. If the eyes are not at stress, they will not increase in axial length. If they do not increase in axial length, myopia is not going to increase. The fourth part, which is still under a lot of debate, but it is worth knowing that many researchers and many optometrists, many vision scientists normally believe that a part of UV rays, the lower end of the UV spectrum, is responsible for the process of emetropization as well. And this is the 4 reason why the kid should at least spend 14 hours per week outside in the sun, right? They might not be under direct sunlight, but even in the shade of a tree is good enough. And if you really ask me, this is a purely, probably a pure Indian concept. But we forgot this somewhere. If you see old pathshalas, right? India was a very rich country long time back. Before the British came over and took over us, we were a very rich country. And at those times, we did not have classrooms. It was not that we could not afford classrooms, but pathshalas were always under the tree. The reason is we understood this long time back and then we forgot. Even if you see today, places like your Niketan, places like Nalanda University still have outdoor classrooms. So this is, if you ask your grandmoms or if you go and ask your parent, they will tell you that their mother, like your grandmother or grandfather, used to put oil in their body and put them outside into the sun, because we knew this relationship between vitamin D and good eyesight and strong healthy bones and good skins. We forgot that. And now we are learning it from the Western world. But do remember, play a very active role in myopia control. Now, after following all of these things, if myopia comes into the eye and if it is progressing, then we need to look into the optical management. So when we look into that optical management, you have to understand the first thing, which is this. And this was a theory given by Arl Smith. So you can go and read about Arl Smith's theory as well. So what Arl Smith says is, fovea, you need to correct the fovea, which is very important. But you need to correct the peripheral retina as well. Peripheral retina means 30-degree this side of the fovea. So you need to correct the fovea as well as you need to correct the peripheral retina. There should be no hyperopic defocus in these places. Because if there is a hyperopic defocus in these places, both in fovea and in peripheral retina, the axial length is going to increase. Now for an emmetrope, it does not matter, because for the process of emmetropization, for the axial length to increase, we would obviously require a bit of a peripheral hyperopic defocus. So that is normal for an emmetrope, and that is why you need to follow that American Academy's guideline for dispensing the kids. The reason for that is we want a bit of a peripheral hyperopic defocus for the kids who are emmetropic in nature as per their age. Now, if the kid is hyperopic in nature, there is ideally a myopic defocus at the periphery. So we do not do a hyperopia control because the axial length does not increase. But for myopia, the kid is already myopic, and if the axial length keeps on increasing and the eye keeps on growing, the kid is going to become more myopic. And if the kid becomes more myopic, the axial length is going to increase and it is going to give all the pathology discussed in the beginning. And this is the reason why we do a myopia control. We do not do an emmetropia control, where we do not do a hyperopia control, because the shape of the eye of a myopia is more like a rugby ball, right? So there is more peripheral hyperopic defocus in a myopic patient, and we do not want their axial length to increase anymore. So remember that you have to correct the fovea as well as you have to correct the peripheral retina if you are aiming at myopia control. And this was given by Arl Smith. This theory was entirely given by Arl Smith, so you can go and study this as well. Now, this is the reason why under correction or over correction with single vision glasses or single vision contact lenses does not work. Because if you are doing an under correction or over correction, you are messing up with the fovea as well as you are messing up with the peripheral retina. So that makes the things even worse. So if you cannot do anything, at least give a proper correction to the kid so that at least the kid can see properly. Right? And you have to follow that American Academy's guide of prescribing. That is important as per the kid's age. So do remember that. Now we want a correction to look like this. We don't want the correction to look like this. We want the correction to look something like this. Now to get this correction, there are spectacles in the world. You can get spectacle lenses for kids which are like this. And all those spectacle lenses are like, you can give an executive bifocal, you can give progressive lenses to the kid. And these are normally the designs that is followed by SLR, and they have a lens, they have a myopia control lenses called as Myopilux, and these are the two designs they follow. Then you can have concentric circles like this, which is followed by Zeiss called as Myovision, And then you have this kind of a design which also has concentric circles, but they have very small lenslet in the periphery as well. This is done by Hoya, and this is called as Mio Smart. So all of these spectacle lenses are available in the world which can do a myopia control. Unfortunately, these are not available in India. So what can you do in India if you want to do a myopia control with glasses? Then you have to refer to a study called as Cheng et al. Study. So this is also in Google, and I keep on referring these studies because without a study, you know, whenever you are presenting anything to anybody without a study, without a valid, published, and peer-reviewed study, whatever we say does not make any sense, right? So remember that. So there is a study by Cheng et al. And this study was done in Australia as well as in Hong Kong. And what Cheng et al. Find out was that if you give a kid a 1.5 diopter executive bifocal with a 3 diopter base-in prism, you will be able to stop the progression of myopia in between 30 to 33%. That is really good. And how will that happen? Because if you give an executive bifocal to a kid, at least half of the retina will not have a peripheral hyperopic defocus. 1.5 diopter lag or lead of accommodation, that can be taken care of. So if you're giving that 1.5 diopter executive bifocal, the axial length will not increase and you can stop the progression of myopia by 33%. But you are giving an executive bifocal to a kid. So you're going to make the kid exophoric in nature. Now to balance that exophoria and to keep binocular vision normal, which is very, very important if you're doing a myopia control. If you are keeping the binocular vision normal, to keep the binocular vision normal, you have to give that 3 diopter base-in prism. So a 1.5 diopter executive bifocal to avoid peripheral hyperopic defocus in half of the eye, and a 3 diopter base-in prism to keep the binocular vision intact. And this combination can stop the progression of myopia by almost 33%. Now you might ask that, okay, why this combination only? Why 1.5 diopter? Why not 2 diopter? Why not 3 diopter? Why 3 diopter base-in prism? Why not 7 diopter base-in prism? The reason behind that is they tried everything. It was a hit and trial method. So they tried every possible combination. They tried from 1 diopter to 3 diopter. They tried from without any prism till 9 base-in prism diopter, and they found out that this is the one which works the best. A 1.5 diopter executive bifocal with a 3 diopter base-in prism. That is an option you have in India. You can incorporate that in your practice, right? So 1.5 diopter executive bifocal with a 3 diopter base-in prism. Further study, refer to Cheng et al. Study, which is available in Google. Now, apart from glasses, you can use soft contact lenses for myopia control as well. You can also use orthokeratology lenses as well. Now, for soft contact lenses, you have multifocal soft contact lenses, and you can use specially designed soft contact lenses for myopia control. But even before we go to our contact lenses, there are certain things which will come to your mind. The first thing that comes to your mind is, oh, the kid is 7 years old. Can we give a contact lenses to this kid? Will the kid be able to handle the contact lenses? What are the chances of infection if I give a contact lenses to the kid, right? So all of these things will come to your mind. Fortunately, all of these things came into our seniors' mind as well, and they did a lot of study accordingly. And what they found out is, particularly you can refer to studies by Mark Bullimore, right? He's a very good authoritative figure in myopia control. So you can actually look into this Mark studies. He has done a lot of studies, a lot of retrospective analysis of that. And what you can find out is, what Mark found out is that our contact lenses in exactly same way like an 18-year-old kid. So an 8-year-old kid can handle the contact lenses in the same way as an 18-year-old kid. So you don't have to wait for the kid to become 18 years old. The only difference is this 8-year-old kid will take slightly longer time to learn the insertion. That's it. But they can handle the contact lenses in the same way. And the chances of infection in the 8-year-old kid is much lesser compared to the chances of infection of an 18-year-old kid. And the reason for that is, I'm sorry for that, that's my kid shouting. So the reason why that happens is because when you are 8-year-old, you are obedient by nature. So when we all were 8 years old, we were obedient by nature. So whatever insertion and removal technique you teach, the kid follows it religiously. And whenever you turn 18-year-old, you are rebellious by nature. You want to challenge everything in the world. And so those kids normally skip a lot of insertion and removal instruction that you give them. So an 8-year-old kid is safer in wearing contact lenses, and an 80-year-old kid can handle contact lenses exactly the same way as an 18-year-old kid. So that normally solves our question that can a kid handle a contact lenses? They can. The second part is the chances of infection. And here you can refer to studies by Jeff Wallin, you can refer to studies by Kate Grifford and Paul Grifford as well. So what they found out is that if you're giving a kid a daily disposable contact lenses for myopia control, the chances of microbial keratitis is just 2 in 10,000 patients. If you are giving a kid a monthly disposable silicone hydrogel lenses in daily wear format, so they wear it every day and they remove it at night and store it and again wear it the next morning, then the chances of microbial keratitis is 12 in 10,000 patients. Now, interestingly, orthokeratology, where you put the lenses inside the kid's eyes and the kid has to sleep with the lenses, in those cases also, the chances of microbial keratitis is exactly the same as your daily wear silicone hydrogel monthly disposable lenses, which is 12 in 10,000 patients. Now, if you do not do any myopia control and if the power in the kid's eyes goes beyond -5, the chances of retinal detachment will be 1 in every 20 patients. So the chances of retinal detachment is way more higher compared to the chances of having a microbial keratitis. And this justifies giving a contact lenses to a kid for myopia control. And this is your argument when you're giving a contact lenses to the kid. So when you have to counsel the parents, this should be your argument. The chances of infection are very less, and all the studies in the world indicates that an 8-year-old can handle contact lenses exactly the same way as an 18-year-old kid. So no problem on that, right? So this is your argument with the parents when you actually consult somebody for myopia control. Now, when you are giving a soft multifocal contact lenses to a kid, remember a center near does not work, because the kid will always complain of blurry vision because that addition will be at the center. Now, if you are doing a myopia control with a multifocal lenses, you have to choose a center distance design. You have to choose a center distance multifocal lenses, right? And preferably the addition should be around plus 2.5 diopters, because if the addition goes beyond plus 2.5 diopters, then the kid is going to complain of halos, glares, and low contrast acuity. So how does a center distance multifocal lenses help? It will help in this way. The image is going to be formed like this. And that is why multifocal soft contact lenses have the same, almost the same outline, all the same success as, your orthokeratology lenses in meta-analysis study, which is almost around, 47 to 50%. So it can stop the progression of myopia by 50%. And what we learned in the beginning was, if we are able to stop the progression of myopia by 50%, we'll be able to stop high myopic frequency in the world by 90%. So it is very good. So what is the option you have in India? Well, the only option you have in India as of now is from a company called as SEED, S-E-E-D, SEED. So it's a Japanese company. They have a multifocal lenses in daily disposable format, and that is called as SEED Multi-Stage Center Distance Daily Disposable Multifocal Lenses. And it is available in India, so you can incorporate that in your practice. Not the EDOF, that's a different design. I'll talk to you about at the later stages. SEED also has EDOF in India, but this is not the EDOF. This is a multifocal contact lenses, which is SEED Multi-Stage Daily Disposable Contact Lenses. And you have to choose type B. So normally in the world, when you have a center distance design, you have the exact addition mentioned. But in SEED, they do not have addition mentioned. So that is type A and type B. So when you consider type A, the addition is lesser than 175. When you consider type B, the addition is more than 2 diopters. So you have to choose SEED multi-stage type B. And that is what you need to choose. So that is the only option you have in a center distance design in India. Now the other lenses which is available in the world is MiSight. Yep. So now we have another lenses which is specially designed for myopia control, and that is called as MiSight One Day. Now these lenses are not available in India. Now these lenses are not available in India, and but then why should you know about these lenses? You should know about these lenses because these are the only lenses in the world which is approved by FDA for myopia control. So you should know about these lenses. So if you see, the name itself suggests it's a daily disposable lenses. It is MiSight One Day, so it's a daily disposable lenses. So the chances of microbial keratitis will be, very, very less, 2 in 10,000 patient if it ever happens. And if you see this has a concentric design. Now, if you have studied multifocals, you will know there was segmented design, then there was concentric design, and now you have aspheric design. So in multifocals, we use aspheric designs most of the time, but when you consider myopia control lenses, we use a concentric designs. So concentric design will have two zones, a correction zone and a treatment zone. So the correction zone will phobia of the patient, and the treatment zone will have an addition of around +2 diopters that is going to bend the image forward, right? So the addition zone or the treatment zone where you have a +2 diopter addition avoids having peripheral hyperopic defocus, and the correction zone, which is the patient's refractive error zone, corrects the fovea of the patient, right? So that is how it works. Now, this lenses has been studied for almost 5 years in the world, and they have been proved that they can stop the progression of myopia by almost 59%, which is really, really good because it can stop 59% of myopia, both on terms of refractive error as well as it has a success of more than 52% around on the axial length. So this is really, really nice, and it has been studied for 5 long years. And when we were studying these lenses, we also wanted to check how does the kid handles the contact lenses. We wanted to check again. And the study population age was between 8 to 12 years. And if you see the first half of the graph, it is insertion. And if you see the bottom half of the graph, it is the removal. And if you see these dark colors, right, that means the kid required parental help less than 1 time per month. If you see this color, it means it requires 1 to 2 times of parental help per month. And if you see the lightest color, that means the kid will require 5 to 10 times of parental help per month. So even in a pro rata basis, if you take, even in the first week, most of the kids were able to insert the contact lenses with least parental help. And if you see the removal part, which is very interesting, even in the first week, most of the kids were able to remove the contact lenses. Now it is easier, right? It is always easier to remove the contact lenses than to insert the contact lenses. And most of the kids were able to remove the contact lenses, which is very, very good because if you're able to remove the contact lenses, it's a daily disposable lenses. So if any problem happens with the contact lenses into the kid's eyes, they can just remove and throw it. That was very much assuring, and the kid can insert the contact lenses themselves. Now I think we will do, most of the kids were able to handle the contact lenses themselves with least parental help. So darker the color, that means they have taken very less parental help. Lighter the color, that means they have taken more parental help, at least 5 to 10 times per month. So even in the first week, most of the kids were able to insert the contact lenses themselves. And removal part, in the first week, most of the kids were able to remove the contact lenses themselves as well. And after 1 month, the ratio was phenomenal. Most of the kids were able to insert and remove the contact lenses by themselves. And this was really reassuring. And this again, reinforced the understanding we had that an 8-year-old kid can handle the contact lenses exactly the same way as a 18-year-old kid. Now, when we were doing this study, we also wanted to find out whether the kids were happy with contact lenses or they wanted to go back to their glasses. Now, every study that you come across in the world with contact lenses and glasses, you will find that the kid would love wearing contact lenses. The reason behind that is it helps them in their active lifestyle. So the sports, jumping on the benches, playing football or playing cricket, outdoor activities, it is always good that the kid wears a contact lenses. It really helps them. And the other part of it was that it really is, increases the self-esteem of the kid as well. So because of the self-esteem and because of the active lifestyle, the kid would love wearing contact lenses. But here you need to see one thing, which is at the last part where it is 3, 5, 3, 2, 2, 2. You see these numbers where this number says the kid said, I don't like them. I don't like contact lenses and I would like to go back to my glasses. The reason I'll tell you at the later part of this presentation, but do remember that while most of the kids loved wearing contact lenses, a few of the kids would not like wearing contact lenses and as well, but there will be a reason behind that, and you have to find that reason. And I'll tell you that reason probably at the a later part of this presentation as well. But do remember this. And obviously, if they like wearing contact lenses, they would not go back to their classes. That is normal. And now coming to the parental consideration, which is very important, because parents are the most important thing, because parents are supposed to pay for myopia control, right? If the parents don't pay for myopia control, the kid does not get myopia control in whichever form you want to give. May it be contact lenses, may it be glasses. The parents has to be convinced as well. And we also look into that parental convenience and the parental ease of giving this connection to the kid's eyes. And if you see the extreme left-hand side corner graph, in the beginning, there was a mixed response from the parents. But right after 1 week, you will see majority of the parents were at ease and somewhat at ease. The reason behind that is, what the parents found out was that the kid is able to remove the contact lenses. And these are daily disposable lenses, right? So anything happens into the kid's eyes, the kid can remove the contact lenses, throw it away and go back to the glasses, which they would normally carry to the school. So this was reassuring. After 1 month, the amount of parents who were convinced with this form of treatment increased, because what the parents understood was that the kid can insert and remove the contact lenses themselves most of the time. So there is no problem. And after 1 year, they also found out that the kids, the contact lenses, when the kids were wearing the contact lenses, it also slows down the progression of myopia. So they were even more convinced. And this is the reason why these contact lenses had happy parents, happy kids, and they were daily disposable contact lenses with least chance of infection, and they were soft contact lenses. So what happens is, you do not require much of an instrumentation in your clinic. As long as you can see a push-up test, you can do a coverage, you can do a centration analysis, you can fit these lenses. And the other part of this part was that this can be given by any practicing optometrist who has qualified as an optometrist. So this mass appeal, this entire mass appeal actually got this lenses the FDA approval. This also won the Silmo Dior award, which is one of the highest optical award that is normally given in Paris. And this also won the BCLA, or British Contact Lens Association's Product of the Year award. But this is not available in India. This will be available in India probably in another 6 or 7 months. So till that time, what option do we have in India? Well, we have an option from a Spanish company called as Macanoi, and they have a lenses called as Milo. And the same technology of Milo is also used in SEED. The company I told you about, multifocal lenses, they also have a myopia control lenses as well, which is based on the same principle, which is developed by Brian Holden Institute in Australia by a guy called as Dr. Arthur Ho. And they uses a technology called as EDOF, or extended depth of focus. So what is this EDOF entirely about? Well, as per their presentation, as per Dr. Arthur Ho's presentation, which I was fortunate to listen once, what they say is that they have elongated the focal length. And if they have elongated the focus, whatever image forms on that focus from distance to near to intermediate has a clear perception by the brain. So how do they create this elongated focus? They create this elongated focus by manipulating higher order aberration. Anything that has to do with depth of focus, you have to manipulate higher order aberrations. Higher order spherical aberrations, to be more precise. And what are the higher order spherical aberrations they normally modified was Z4, Z6, Z8 and Z10. So if you remember that diagram of spherical aberrations, Z4, Z8 and Z6, Z10. These are the spherical aberrations they have actually manipulated to create that extended depth of focus. How do they do that? By considering the patient's pupil size, inherent aberration in the population's eyes, and by a bit of a lens decentration. So they customize the lenses as per the data you are going to give them. Now, how do they stop progressing of myopia? They can stop progressing of myopia because all the good images, all that good images in that focal length is formed in front of the retina or in the retina, both in fovea as well as in peripheral retina. So there is no hyperopic defocus of good images, both in fovea and in peripheral retina. And this is the reason why this lenses stops the progression of myopia. Now, we do not have a long-term study on this, but at least it's an option that is available in India in soft contact lenses. So if you do not have a topographer, if you do not have a good data keeping system, if you are not very confident in putting an orthokeratology lenses in somebody's eyes, this is still an option. Even SID daily disposable multifocal contact lenses was also an option, and this is available till -15 diopters. Now the other lenses which is also available is from a company called as GOV, and these lenses are called as Artmost SMR, which is soft myopia retard or soft myopia retention. Now this is also made by somebody called as Arthur, but this is Dr. Arthur Tung. So first one was Dr. Arthur Ho, this is Dr. Arthur Tung. And I was able to listen and interact with Dr. Arthur Tung in a couple of occasions when he was in India. And I also, joined a course which he was conducting a few days back. So what I learned from him was this lenses is a soft contact lenses, but these lenses will have lesser movement into the eyes. So this will not move like your normal soft contact lenses because they will have a tear reservoir. So if you can see my cursor on your screen, this white is going to have a tear reservoir. So this is going to hold the tears. So if the tears are there, it is going to create a plus number effect. So there will be a peripheral myopic defocus. There will be no peripheral hyperopic defocus. So the axial length is not going to increase. And both that EDOF and SMR are available in India in monthly disposable format. So you can look for these options when you are practicing. So that is important. Obviously, the only option that is approved by FDA is CooperVision's MiSight One Day, but that does not mean that the other options are not, effective. They're all effective, but they have not been approved by FDA for various reasons. But you can always look for the other options as well, which includes glasses, like I told you, which includes your soft multifocal contact lenses, which includes your orthokeratology contact lenses, which includes your soft myopia control lenses as well. And it also includes atropine. Now, atropine is something which you have to always give with a joint collaboration with an ophthalmologist. But do remember there has been a recent study called as LAMP study, LAMP, low dose atropine in myopia progression, which shows that 0.05% atropine is much, much better than 0.01%, 0.025% atropine concentration. So 0.05% is much, much better in stopping the progression of myopia. That has been proved in the world. Now, in India, we have commercially atropine available at around 0.01% and 0.025%. That is still okay because they still work. And they're by the name of myopine, they're by the name of atropine, they're by the name of myatro. So all of these are available in India. So you can always look forward to that option as well when you are doing a myopia control. Now coming to a very important part, this has been fantastically put like this by Kate Grifford, thanks to her. And I was also slightly fortunate to get trained under her and on myopia control under Kate and Paul Grifford and Joe Tanner, who is my counterpart in Australia and New Zealand in CooperVision. So this is very, very important. Guys, do remember that whatever you do with myopia control or whatever you are doing with a growing child, the binocular vision is very, very important. The binocular vision has to be intact always. Because if you mess up with the binocular vision, you will mess up with emmetropization for sure. So do not mess up with that binocular vision at all. Now you can become a very good myopia control practitioner if you know the binocular vision of the kid. Because if the binocular vision is normal, contact lenses will work very well. And the study shows that that bifocal or prismatic bifocal is going to work better than your progressive lenses. Now, if the kid has esophoria, accommodation lag, or both of it together, then you can give a contact lenses, but you have to also ensure that you are considering the kid for a vision therapy as well. And on these cases, progressive additional lenses works better than the bifocals. And that is why when I was showing you that spectacle options, SLR's myopilux segment had both of it so that they can cater to both of these patients. Obviously, Zeiss would have a concentric circles and your spectacle lenses with, your from Hoya also has a concentric circle. So they do not require a bifocal or a progressives. But SLR has that so that they can cater to both of these patients. So do remember that. And it is not uncommon to find a esophoria and accommodation lag, because this might be the underlying reason why the myopia is also increasing. So do focus on this as well. Now, there is also a chance that you might find kids with intermittent exophoria. It's very common. It's not like very, very common, but it is very common in progressive myopia. So if you find a kid with intermittent exophoria, contact lenses cannot be given because it is going to increase the exophoria. Now, bifocals cannot be given. It is going to increase the exophoria as well. So on this case, it is best to first correct the exophoria. And when you are correcting the exophoria, you can always co-manage this patient with an ophthalmologist and ask the ophthalmologist to put atropine into the kid's eyes, so that by the time you correct the exophoria, you are not, you're not allowing the myopia into the kid's eyes to increase, right? And remember when I was talking to you about MiSight, and a few of the patients were not happy with contact lenses, they wanted to go back to their glasses. Well, those were intermittent exophorias. Will never be happy with contact lenses, and they would always love to go back to their glasses. Now, I am not a very, what can I say? I'm not a very learned person on binocular vision. That is not my forte. And you have, tons of people who know binocular vision much, much better than me. But even a layman like me in binocular vision can figure out, because you would require what? A retinoscope to check the lag and lead of accommodation. You would require prism bars to check the convergence and the divergence, and you would require flippers to check the NRA and PRA. That's it. If you are able to do just these three, you will be able to put the patient over here, and you can understand the condition of the patient's binocular vision and give a correction accordingly to the kid, right? So do remember this as well. And that is almost the last slide of our session today. And obviously coming back to COVID 19 and eyewear, which is I thought just to discuss with you guys, because most of the time we are listening to all sort of information from various places where somebody says, okay, contact lenses is not good. Somebody says spectacle is not good. Well, both of are equally safe depending on how your patients handle them. Okay, so if the patient is wearing contact lenses, hand hygiene is very important. Case hygiene is important if it is not a daily disposable lenses. Disinfection of the contact lenses is very, very important. So good use of solution is very, very important. And if there is a flu-like symptom, the patient is not supposed to wear contact lenses. This is the instruction that we normally give to our patient. This is the instruction we're going to give now also, but in a much more rigorous fashion. Now, if the patient is wearing glasses, now remember this virus can stay on the glasses for almost, days together. So if the patient is wearing the glasses on metals and plastics, ensure that every time the patient is coming with contact with anything from outside, they need to first clean their glasses with soap and water if available for 20 seconds and disinfect the glasses with alcohol wipes or hand sanitizer. If nothing is available, at least clean the glasses with hand sanitizer itself. And the other part is the mobile phone. The virus can stay on a mobile phone for almost 7 days in an active way. And this gets very close to your nose and mouth. So if that happens, ensure that you're telling your patient to disinfect their mobile phones as well with alcohol wipes or hand sanitizer, whatever is available. And for you guys, stay safe and follow all the government protocols that has been given to you. And just do 4 things if possible. That is 30 minutes of exercise per day, whatever you feel like doing, but 30 minutes of exercise is important. 6 to 7 hours of sleep per day. Be happy, because that is a best immunity booster, and also have a bit of a immunity boosting foods like honey, turmeric, vitamin C foods and fruits, because that is also important, because till the time a vaccine comes, your immunity is most important, and you guys are the future of optometry in this country. So, your well-being is most important to us. So please take care of that as well, right? And all the best for your myopia control. Just a quick recap of what we have done. Why myopia is important, why myopia control is important, why do we do myopia control and not hypermetropia control or emmetropia control. Then we have understood, the peripheral retina correction, and we have first and foremost understood the consultative approach, where you consider the parental part, you consider the refractive error of the kid given as per the age, and you also consider the screen time, and you consider the time the kid is spending outdoors. This consultative approach can be done by anybody as long as they're an optometrist. So do focus on that. That is also very, very important. And then we talked about various optical management, which is there in India, and all the optical management, which is there abroad. We talked briefly about atropine as well, and we talked about briefly about binocular vision as well in myopia control, right? So that is all we have discussed today. And so I'll stop sharing my screen so that if you have any questions, I'll just have a look at it.